I want to make sure that you see that footage. This is a United States Senator asking a question of Secretary Noem, and in return, he is pulled from the press conference, shoved down to the floor, slammed to the ground with handcuffs, arrested for doing his job of oversight. So let me go ahead and make sure that I say this clear, because I serve in Homeland Security, and I can tell you for a fact they are weaponizing the government and the military against U.S. citizens to exert control and suppress dissent. I call that authoritarianism. We've seen it before. Here's the point: terror. That's what they're doing here. This hearing is a witch hunt against the governors that run successful cities, and we need to call it what it is. What we need here right now is Secretary Noem answering questions in oversight on why the hell she thinks that what happened to the senator is acceptable.
I would urge all of my Republican colleagues to take a breath before you once again desperately run to bend the knee to Donald Trump and to Christy Noem. Because anyone with two eyes that can see that that was authoritarian, lawless behavior that no person in America, much less a senator conducting constitutional oversight, should have received. And I know it's hard for all of you to speak up against Donald Trump, and that's why we're here at this hearing.
Welcome back to Right View Nation, where we don't back down, we don't bow to tyranny, and we damn sure don't stay silent when our republic is under attack. Folks, today's video is one of the most disturbing things I've seen in a long, long time, and I don't say that lightly. We've watched the steady decay of our institutions under leftist manipulation for years now. But this is different. What we're witnessing is the government's full-blown transformation into a weaponized tool of political suppression. And it's happening right in front of our eyes. Let me walk you through what just happened. A United States Senator, elected by the people, sworn to uphold the Constitution, was handcuffed, shoved to the ground, and dragged away by federal agents for doing his job. He dared to ask questions at a press conference. That's it. No threat. No violence. Just questions. And how did this administration respond? With brute force. With a show of authoritarian power meant to silence, to intimidate, and to send a clear message to everyone watching. If you challenge us, we'll crush you. Let me be crystal clear. This is not about safety. This is not about protocols or security zones. This is about controlling the narrative. It's about burying dissent. It's about using the Department of Homeland Security like it's some kind of private enforcement arm for the regime in power. This isn't Venezuela. This isn't the CCP. This is America. Or at least it's supposed to be. But you tell me, what kind of country arrests a sitting senator for asking questions at a public press conference? What kind of country uses immigration enforcement not to uphold the law, but to terrorize families, raid homes, and target people based on political agendas? Because that's exactly what's happening. They don't want oversight. They don't want accountability. They want compliance. And if you don't comply, you get the boot or the baton. Let me remind you of something our founders made very clear. Government derives its power from the consent of the governed, not the other way around. What happened in that federal building should send chills down your spine.
Governor, earlier this year you noted that the authoritarian playbook is laid bare here. They point to a group of people who don't look like you, and then they tell you to blame them for your problems. Governor Pritzker, do you believe that the Trump administration is using the authoritarian playbook, particularly as it relates to immigrant communities across the country?
It's clear when you look at every action that they've taken with regard to immigration since they've taken office, including going in and attacking our communities in the state of Illinois. I think in the first week in office, Tom Homan bringing Dr. Phil with him unseriously, and then bringing the very serious ICE officials in to break down doors, to scare communities, to keep people from going to work and so on. It is clear that they are targeting communities of people who don't look like them and going after people that they think are opponents of theirs, or
including United States senators, Governor.
Including, thank you, and Alex Padilla. And by the way, I want to say to all of you on both sides, but particularly those on the Republican side, that I cannot believe the disrespect that was shown to a United States senator who was thrown down, handcuffed, and not allowed to ask a question of our Secretary of Homeland Security, Christy Noem. That seems completely irrational.
Governor, I agree with you. And because I have a limited time, I actually want to show the footage because I think what you're saying has to be seen here. I'm going to ask now that we play a clip of Senator Padilla being wrongfully arrested while we're in this hearing. Go ahead and play it. A United States Senator. I want to make sure that people see.
Get on my hands. Go ahead. Put him behind my back.
All right. Cool. Hey, one hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here.
What?
I do not know. There's no recording allowed out here per FBI, right?
Yeah, they don't want you recording so that you don't see how they violate due process repeatedly. I want to make sure that you see that footage. This is a United States Senator asking a question of Secretary Noem, and in return, he is pulled from the press conference, shoved down to the floor, slammed to the ground with handcuffs, arrested for doing his job of oversight. So let me go ahead and make sure that I say this clear, because I serve in Homeland Security, and I can tell you for a fact they are weaponizing the government and the military against U.S. citizens to exert control and suppress dissent. I call that authoritarianism. We've seen it before. Here's the point: terror. That's what they're doing here. This hearing is a witch hunt against the governors that run successful cities, and we need to call it what it is. What we need here right now is Secretary Noem answering questions in oversight on why the hell she thinks that what happened to the senator is acceptable. With that, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Hopefully you'll get to see the beginning of that tape when he approached the podium where the secretary was. You hadn't seen
To
that
ask
yet?
a question.
Mr. Chairman, on the full statement of the committee on the Democratic side, Senator Padilla is currently in Los Angeles exercising his duty to perform congressional oversight of the federal government operations in Los Angeles and across California. He was in the Wilshire Federal Building to receive a briefing with General Guillot and was listening to Secretary Noem's press conference. He tried to ask the Secretary a question and was forcibly removed by federal agents, forced to the ground, as you saw, and handcuffed. He is not currently detained, and we are working to get additional information. And while we respect the Senate's ability to review this as a primary investigation, we also echo Ms. Ramirez's statement that we would like to have an investigation of that incident here from beginning to end.
You want to enter that into the record?
I do.
All right, without objection, so ordered. Now, Chair recognizes Mr. Jack. Okay, wait a minute. We did two Republicans, so we're going to go to Mr. Goldman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would urge you to reserve comment on what happened to Mr. Padilla until you get full information. In fact, I would urge all of my Republican colleagues to take a breath before you once again desperately run to bend the knee to Donald Trump and to Christy Noem. Because anyone with two eyes that can see that that was authoritarian, lawless behavior that no person in America, much less a senator conducting constitutional oversight, should have received. And I know it's hard for all of you to speak up against Donald Trump, and that's why we're here at this hearing talking all about Joe Biden, talking all about Joe Biden's policy this, Joe Biden's policy that, all these people who committed crimes under Joe Biden. Is it just because you're consistently trying to ignore the fact that Joe Biden is not president? Donald Trump is president. And what he's doing right now, which you all know, is he is going after people who are lawfully present. Now, I appreciate the governor's being here. I'm sorry you have to deal with this crap.
This is the kind of abuse of power that we send troops overseas to fight against. Now we're seeing it right here, on American soil, used against Americans. And yet what do we hear from the Democrat side of the aisle? Silence, deflection, and the same tired talking points about protecting democracy while they trample on every constitutional right in the book. You want to talk about democracy? How about transparency? You want to talk about justice? Then let's talk about the political prisoners sitting in D.C. jails without trials. Let's talk about the weaponization of the FBI, the IRS, the ATF, hell, even the CDC. Every agency has been hijacked by this radical, globalist agenda to silence opposition and consolidate control. And here's the kicker. While they're using taxpayer-funded federal agents to slam senators to the ground, they've got the gall to lecture us, hard-working Americans, about threats to democracy. Are you kidding me? The real threat to democracy is a government that no longer respects the limits of its power. This isn't about safety. It's about control. This isn't about law and order. It's about selective enforcement. This isn't about protecting the people. It's about punishing the opposition. And the sad part, the media's already moving on. They won't show that video. They won't talk about the senator's arrest. They'll pretend it didn't happen, because it doesn't fit their narrative, because it exposes just how far gone this administration truly is. But not here. Not on Right View Nation. We're not afraid to speak the truth. We stand with every American who's been silenced, censored, and shackled for simply asking the hard questions. We stand with law enforcement when they're doing their job, not when they're being used as political pawns. And we stand with our Constitution, our liberty, and our God-given rights. So here's my message to the tyrants in Washington. You may have the power today, but we the people still have the truth. And truth is a powerful weapon. We're not backing down. We're not going silent. And we sure as hell won't be kneeling before your authoritarian rule. If you believe in freedom, if you believe in accountability, and if you're tired of this government turning against its own people, then stand with us. Share this video. Comment below. Subscribe to Right View Nation and help us fight back. Because if they can do this to a senator, what makes you think you're safe? Right View Nation, unafraid, unapologetic, and censored. God bless America. And may God have mercy on the enemies of liberty.